Hey everyone, I am Legacy and this is episode 3 of Sunlightscream. Last time we left off was after Max got out of the hospital and went back to school after he and his brother got into a fatal car accident. And I'm going to go ahead and load. There was still time to spare before the test itself. Today I arrived even earlier than I should have and was in no hurry to get anywhere. There was still time to spare before the test itself. Today I arrived even earlier than I should have, and was in no hurry to get anywhere. I noticed Samantha sitting on the windowsill alone, reading a book. I should probably go say hello to my modest pink-haired friend too. I walked over and sat down next to her. She flinched in surprise when she noticed someone beside her. "Oh, Max. Hi, I didn't see you there." "Yeah, hi. Sorry to scare you, I just wanted to say hi. What are you reading? Something for the test?" "No, just reading a book." She cast her eyes downward, tucking the book into her purse. "How do you know about the test? It's coming up pretty soon now." "Our Slayer tells me. I just met her." "Our Slayer told me. I just met her. I didn't expect to get back to some kind of change right after all those passes." "Oh, speaking of which, how are you? I was worried when you stopped showing up for class." Then Sarah found out about the accident and told Leon and me. "What a nightmare. I'm glad you survived." "Yes, it's not the best time of life, but it can't be helped." Samantha looked away embarrassed. "You'll probably sit with her, won't you?" "I don't know yet. Maybe." There was an awkward silence. Did I say something wrong? There was an awkward silence. Did I say something wrong? I just wanted to say that if you're worried about taking the test, you can sit down with me too. I've been studying for it and I can help you." Embarrassed, Samantha added, "Oh, okay. Thanks for the offer." It wasn't the test I was more concerned about, but the inevitable upsetting of one of the girls. I hated to upset Samantha, but I also told Sarah that I would think about it. Why am I so popular? Is it because of the accident? I can't say it's unpleasant, just unexpected. Before the girl left, I decided to offer Samantha something myself. "By the way, after lessons, would you like to have lunch together? Sarah and I were planning on having lunch together. You could join us. It's more fun together." Lunch? With me?" She patted her eyes in surprise. "Yeah, you, me, Sarah. Maybe we'll bring Leon if he's up for it. Keep things interesting. Or do you already have lunch plans?" "No plans. I just haven't been invited to lunch yet." "Great, I'll go first. I was invited myself, so I'm just passing the baton." "I'd love to join you." She smiled, then turned around and ducked back into her book. As I was climbing the stairs, someone came at me from behind and almost knocked me down. Leon. "Bro, it's really you." I couldn't believe it. "I thought you'd quit studying, follow my footsteps, go to school for a couple days, and that's it." But no, then I found out about the whole accident thing. Our Slayer got everyone on edge. I even set up a group chat online to keep everyone informed. And you're as good as new, not a scratch on you. Hello to you too. You keep bumping into me like that, you're gonna get scratches. I'm the center of attention today, but it's good to see you too. How's the nurse? I called the hospital. She sounded so young. Yeah, there's a nice girl who works there. Scarlett, I think. A little older than us. Then I'm surprised you got out of there so fast. You could have taken a couple days off. Yeah, there's a circumstance. I'll tell you about it over lunch if you'll join us. Our place? You've got it all worked out, haven't you? Well, if the girls are going to be there, I'm in. Since you've already talked to them, you probably know about the test. I'm out of the running. I'm not able to help you with this. Suddenly, a force grabbed me by the neck and pushed me forward. Leon was also pushed toward me, and our foreheads bumped together painfully. I turned around in anger. Ugh, this guy. Grant grinned in front of us. "What are you two lovebirds gossiping about?" I roughly broke free of his grip and stepped back. "None of your damn business." and I think it's my business. He crossed his arms over his chest and stood between Leon and me. I tried to sidestep him left-right, but he shifted in sync with me. I think our conversation with Leon is over. He gestured to the classroom. I was about to follow his example and head for the entrance to the office, but Grant blocked my path again and shoved me in the chest. Look, I haven't forgot about your prank, kid, and it was none of your business, but now it is. I don't care what happened to you, but if you cross me again, the consequences will be dire. I don't want to see or hear from you. You understand? To my rescue, Mr. Johnson himself was hurrying into the classroom, at the sight of whom Grant tempered his ardor and slipped inside, with him I. He's a total butt, hasn't changed a bit. I better not cross paths with him too much. I went in and looked around at the familiar faces. Grant positioned himself next to Nate, taking up almost the entire area of the desk with his body. A free seat next to Sarah, just like she'd said. She glanced at me, winding a lock of her hair around her finger. There's still an open seat with Samantha. She glanced at me, but then looked away, meeting my eyes. In general, there were more empty seats in the classroom, as if a third of them had decided to skip the test. Okay, so we already did some sort of compromise to kind of make up for not sitting with Samantha during this. So I'm going to say sit with Sarah. You know, I feel bad about not sitting with Samantha since we already ditched Samantha once. Slayer, I choose you. After all, I promised her first. I hope Samantha's not too upset about this. I walked over and sat down next to Sarah. I pulled out my notes, or rather the small portion I'd written down in my one class. Sarah saw the travesty of an outline and pursed her lips. Not much. Not much. Leaning toward me, she said, "It is what it is. There's not much you can do in a hospital." I smiled and shrugged. Mr. Johnson was talking about something I wasn't really listening to. Then he started handing out test forms. Sarah elbowed me in the side. "You better watch this. We'll probably have 2 different options, but I've got some stuff I downloaded before class." She pointed to her electronic choker around her neck. "Once the forms are handed out, I'll punch in yours, and right here on the display on your side, we'll show the correct answer choices." "Wow, it's quite a system. Like a smartwatch?" "Yeah, sort of. I hope they don't see us. It's a small screen, so the others shouldn't be able to see." "Okay, it's worth a shot. Thank you for your help. Don't get ahead of yourself. You'll thank me later if all the answers fit." Mr. Johnson came over to us and handed out 2 assignment slips. I took mine and quickly ran my eyes over the questions. Some I knew myself, some were intuitive, but most of the tasks and terms were new to me. Sarah glanced down at the sheet of paper. The option number wasn't written down anywhere, but she read one of the assignments and activated something on her collar. Just pointing out the fact that, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, if you will. If this is supposed to be high school, or wait, no, this is university. Never mind. Never mind. If it's university, they wouldn't really let you sit out of a test, to my knowledge, just because you were out. For his reasoning, maybe, but I'm not really sure. How did she do it if she can't see anything? After a few minutes, she leaned toward me and spoke in a whisper. "Look, I've set them up for your questions. The correct answer will pop up on them at half-a-minute intervals. I'll be doing my own thing for now. If there's anything you don't get to, just poke me, okay?" "I got it. I'll try to keep up." And I began to scrutinize her device. She flipped her hair to the other side to give me access to her neck and immersed herself in reading her tasks. Indeed, answer numbers began to appear on the small display. I checked logically whether they could be matched, and then circled them. Sarah sat thoughtfully, leaning over the form. She took the end of a pencil to her mouth and nibbled on it, running her eyes over the lines. I moved closer to her as the numbers were too small to see. Our feet touched, but she didn't seem to notice at all. I felt a warmth coming from the girl. I wonder what she's wearing. Some kind of pantyhose? Okay, stop. What am I thinking? I have a test to take. I'd already stopped checking the logic of the answers and just transferred the option instantly to the form. Perhaps because of this, time began to stretch somehow long, as if the frame changes not only once every 30 seconds, but much longer. I convinced myself that this was the reason I was more considering the girl more than my blank. I probably look creepy from the outside. I stare at my neighbor's neck with appetite, like some vampire. But everyone was absorbed in their own thoughts, and Mr. Johnson was solving some problem on the chessboard. Sarah tilted her head in my direction, and I inhaled the scent of her hair involuntarily. It was a pleasant shampoo scent, like lemon or something. Although each answer was shown for a long time, the lesson itself flew by in no time at all. Shortly before the end, I managed to finish my test by circling the last answer with a pencil. Sarah and I finished around the same time. She finished a couple more questions after me, and put away her pencil and worksheet too, exhaling with relief. I moved to my side so as not to embarrass her unnecessarily. She turned to me and smiled. So, did you make it? I've set an optimal delay so that you can make it to the end of the class, but not too fast. That's great, thank you so much. I owe you one. It's a classy device, by the way. Thanks, I designed it myself. Then I think to upgrade it further and add more features. Oh, IT goddess, I don't doubt your success. But you do it. Keep studying, it's a useful subject. It may come in handy. Yeah, sure. I'll be sure to study the material I missed, too. I don't want to be always among the laggards. Good for you. At this time, the class came to an end, and Mr. Johnson went through and collected our forms. Well, I'll see you then. I was about to leave, too, but Mr. Johnson called me over. Max, come here for a moment. I made my way to his desk. Had he noticed my cheating? When I glanced in his direction during class, he was studying something on the chessboard, and really not supervising the test. I guess I didn't even have to bother with cheating, but a small chill ran down my spine. How's the test? He asked directly. Normal. I've answered everything, I think. I tried to answer confidently, but my voice still trailed off. I mean, if you're gonna do that after not being there, you should at least, try to fail a couple of questions. Good, very good. You know, I don't want to pressure you, and if you have trouble with the test, I'll let you retake it later, but you should still show up to class. Oh, that's right, he doesn't know. My friends discussed my situation among themselves, but they didn't tell him. Oh, I'm sorry, I had an emergency. I was in a car accident. I spent some time in the hospital. For some reason, I decided not to mention my brother. I don't know why. Mr. Johnson frowned. I'm sorry to hear that, but here you are, looking quite healthy. Hopefully things will go smoothly from here on out. I hope so myself. Tell me, Max, how do you feel about chess? Chess? It's okay. I know how to play, but I don't practice it much. Frankly, I used to love the game. I used to play it a lot with Chris when I was a kid, but then I simply didn't have a partner, and I can't remember the last time I moved pieces. Will you play a game with me? In return, I won't count your absences in the scoring. What do you say? As long as it's only for a short time, I'm fine with it. Satisfied with this answer, the teacher arranged the pieces and slid the board toward me. All I remembered about the game was that the pieces moved, so I didn't think much about the significance of the moves. The set was metal and quite weighty, probably expensive. I wondered why he was so obsessed with them that he even kept them in class. A unique game. It's useful. Teaches you to think outside the box, to think ahead, to see possibilities where at first glance there is darkness. As if reading my thoughts, Mr. Johnson said cryptically, Does it help in learning math? I'm not sure about that, but it definitely pumps up your brain, which will be useful to you not only in just one subject, but in all. Of course, he checkmated me pretty quickly. An expected result. He smiled and nodded appreciatively at me. Thanks for the game. It's just that I often don't have anyone to play with, and during class I saw you looking in my direction. So I figured you might be interested. Oh, you mean you saw... How did you cheat? Of course. He smirked smugly, but he clearly wasn't going to tell me off. Don't apologize. I don't really care. You guys were looking for a way out, and you found it. I like that, and you made up for it with our play. Henceforth, though, I'm still hoping for your immersion in the material, not your classmates. Just because I'm not looking doesn't mean I can't see. Remember, there's opportunity where there's darkness. Mr. Johnson winked at me enigmatically. I didn't even know how to react to his monologue, so I just sat there and absorbed it. Well, I won't burden you and keep you any longer. You can go. If you want to play some more, come back at recess. Okay. Goodbye. I hurried out the door. I liked the part, of course, but there was something about him. Dangerous, intonation, the energy. It's hard to explain. So, not gonna lie, I got the vibe with that guy, wondering if he's the guy who called him. There's something there. There's definitely something there. He's treated me pretty well so far, though, turning a blind eye to my absences and even my cheating. Okay, I'm just getting myself worked up again for no reason. The rest of the lessons to the last one flew by quickly and unnoticed. And the last one was physical education. I remembered to bring my uniform, and after changing in the locker room, I found myself in a large gymnasium. Our physical teacher was an uncle in his 60s. He announced the program for the coming year, although it was not to be the first class. He also added that there is also a class coming up in a couple days, and there will be a mini basketball tournament among our group. The winners get an automatic good grade for this quarter. And today is free class, warming up and preparing for this tournament. We started jogging and different exercises. I missed it. Too much had happened lately, and there was nowhere for the energy to go, so I was grateful for such an energizing activity. After the warm-up, we had jumping over the goat. Then a few exercises with the ball for accuracy, trying to throw the ring from the close distance. Toward the end, we were given free time to just practice with the ball. We secluded ourselves with the company. Toward the end, we were given free time to practice with the ball. We secluded ourselves with our company and decided to play 2-on-2. But who should we pair up with? Samantha admitted she wasn't good at this kind of thing. Leon and Sarah, on the other hand, were eager to get started. I couldn't call myself a professional basketball player, but I also had to play in physical education classes at my school before. Sometimes it was even good. The guys stared at me waiting for our practice match to begin already. Okay. So, these two are probably good at the game. She's probably not. I don't know my level. But I feel like not enough has been done with Samantha, so I decided to pair up with Samantha to even the odds. For a beginner, she was quite nimble and surprisingly accurate. She was able to shoot even more than me. We had a tactic where I try to shoot the ball, then pass it to her under the basket, and she shoots it. But of course, by the overall score, we would have lost if we had let it. But no one appeared to be upset. Everyone blushed and smiled stupidly at each other when we were told that the lesson was over and we could go to change. So, are we picking up the tournament tomorrow? We can try. We're pretty good at it. What teams will be there? I heard that any teams of 4. We could just play all of us together. Well, there's just one small problem. A big one. His name's Grant Wilson. Sarah nodded toward the thug and his cohorts. We've already laid siege to him once. Why not do it again? You're an optimist. I'm in. After deciding on my plans for tomorrow, I headed to the locker room. Everyone had already changed while we were discussing with our friends the plans for tomorrow. I was about to leave when I heard a familiar voice. Uh-oh. And there was a loud bang on the locker. I tiptoed over and peered behind the row of lockers. Of course. Nate sat there with his hands clasped together, Grant hovering over him. He was shaking some kind of sheet of paper in front of his face in rage. You think I'm stupid? You gave me fake answers. You messed up my whole test. That's not cool. Open your mouth. Nate only sobbed quietly, covering his head with his hands. Grant had already punched the poor guy by the looks of it. Before I could do anything, Grant tore the sheet into multiple pieces, threw Nate's head back, and started shoving the paper right into his mouth and shoved it through with his hand. What the heck? Finally, he kicked the guy in the stomach. In tears, he sprawled on the floor, spitting out scraps of paper, and ran towards the exit. Around the corner, he bumped into me and looked up with surprised eyes. You, get out of here. I did as you advised, tried to fight back. Complained to Mr. Johnson, but he ignored it. Then this one made me decide for him, and I confused all the answers for him. Only now it's worse. Nate, Get out. I never want to see you again. In tears, the guy ran out of the locker room. I certainly didn't expect a reaction. I certainly didn't expect him to take my advice like that. He's got his head in the wrong place. Grant watched from a distance, but decided I'd had enough. He grinned smugly and continued to change. Talking to him was like talking to a wall of peas, so I hurried out into the hallway myself. Ow, 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 upset the boy. What's she doing here? Erica's mocking voice came from behind me. I see you've been watching me. Are you in love? Is there anything to fall in love with? The girl snorted, but appreciated the teasing. You know, I'll give you some advice. Don't try to help people like that. They can only help themselves. People like that? Are these people different to you? But as it turns out, I'm one of them too. You said it, not me. Go on, your friends are probably waiting for you. Have a nice lunch. The girl waved her hand and walked past. I guess I'll never understand her, but some of what she said really pained me. My advice has only made Nate feel worse now. But I don't know. I mean, don't just stand by? Or is that sometimes the right thing to do? When I got to the dining room, many people had already dispersed and the usual crowd was gone. I quickly looked for my friends at the oblong table. I ordered myself some pasta and cutlet and joined them. Sorry it took so long. There's been a little incident. Oh, is everything okay? With me, yes, but I don't think that's important right now. I thoughtfully picked up a cutlet with my fork. But there is something I'd like to tell you about. I trust you all, so it's only fair that I share it with you. Oh, come on. I'm getting chills down my spine right now. Just tell me. The girls looked at me with fear and curiosity. I looked around for some reason. I was getting a little paranoid. Okay. As you all know, I was in a car accident with my brother recently, and he died. And I think it was premeditated murder. Expected some sort of reaction. But everyone looked at me dumbfounded, waiting for me to continue. Murder? What a nightmare. We don't have them in Sunlight City. Just because they aren't covered doesn't mean they don't exist. Don't interrupt. Let him finish his story. Anyway, after I woke up, I talked to a policewoman. She said she didn't believe me too much. She said it was just an accident, nothing more. She said she needed proof. But that car fled the scene of the accident, and they can't find it on the cameras. There are no cameras in the area that are broken. Something like that. And the worst part was that I was supposed to be sitting in that seat. Before the trip, Chris offered to let me drive his car to the pizzeria. And I agreed. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I involuntarily lowered my voice to almost a whisper, and there was a silence again. So, he literally saved you from dying. Yeah, that's really creepy. What makes you so sure it's a premeditated murder? Do you have any idea who it could be? I'm almost to the last part. The cherry on the cake is that I got a phone call from a stranger the night before. You know, I thought I told you. Stranger? Oh yeah, I remember something like that. You said there was a threatening call from a hidden number. Yes, exactly. I didn't think much of it at the time, but it might make sense now. Someone has a grudge against me, and now they're playing it however they want. Holy crap, that's quite a story. If it's true, we have a killer. Just like a real slasher. Oh god, that face. Jesus. Okay. With a huff, and as if even with interest, said the Slayer. Hey, it's not a movie. There's nothing awesome about it. Terrible things are happening, so we'd better hope this is the end of it. The creepiest part, it was like he knew what I was doing in my house at the moment. Sure, it could have been a coincidence, but what if he knows where I live? Knows where we all live? Are you saying it's one of the students? Yeah, except you don't even know anyone here yet. Why would anyone be digging for you? If only I knew. And he knows my number. How did he get so much information? Unless it's someone from the police. I mean, they have that whole database there. Or from the hospital. There's personal information there too. Alright guys, enough with the load. My head's about to explode. And what, because you told us all this, you want us to help you find the killer? Well, yeah, I guess so. 4 heads are better than 1. And you already have someone in mind? Who would wish you so badly? That's the tricky part. I just got here. I don't really know anyone except you guys. Come to think of it, my entire list of acquaintances is you, Grant, Erica, Mr. Johnson, and the cop, that Elizabeth Reynolds. Are you sure you didn't forget anyone? Who else? At least Nate, and that nurse of yours you said you two met. Are you serious? That doesn't make any sense anymore. Leon's right. If you follow the canons of the most detectives and thrillers, the killer is often the most unremarkable person. Therefore, no one should be written off. Unless some wannabe judge is back. She added in the lower tones. Samantha looked at her friend judgmentally and bit her tongue. But it was too late. I'd heard that nickname from somewhere before. I'd heard it on the news on the train. Who's that anyway? I've heard that name before. Sarah's favorite subject. Trust me, it's best not to get into it. It'll make you more paranoid. No, I still want to hear it. The girl leaned in closer to me, spoke in a low voice, as if it was some secret. The locals don't really like to remember or talk about it. Murders are exceptionally rare for our town. They were until one moment. Samantha rolled her eyes, but moved closer to us to listen. Leon was eating a scone and tea, but he was also listening intently. We used to have a club. We used to go there to relax, hang out at discos, and once there was a crowd of drunken students celebrating the passing of the session. And some guy came in wearing a neon suit, all dressed up. They laughed at him and started mocking him, saying, "Why is he all dressed up like that? Is he trying to steal their girls?" There was a scuffle, a fight. The poor man fell down and was trampled by the crowd. When they realized he was not moving and breathing, it was too late. No one wanted responsibility, so they just took it out and dumped it in the dumpster like some kind of trash, and came back as if nothing had happened. Sarah took a deep breath, watching my reaction, but I listened intently, amazed at the human stupidity and cruelty, and I waited for it to continue. But when the janitors cleaned out the bins in the morning, the body was gone. Turns out the guy was a last-ditch survivor. He got out of there and decided to massacre everyone. Instead of a conspicuous suit, he made himself a black, inconspicuous suit with a cape, put on a creepy white mask, and armed himself with a long knife. It looked like a kitchen knife, but it was longer, sharper, and rumored to have some obscure symbol. He tracked down everyone who was in the club at the time, and he stabbed every one of them. No one was spared. He attacked mostly at night when his costume looked like a ghost. He wanted to frighten them so that they felt death approaching, and this fear accompanied them until their last breath. He was only stopped when he almost killed the last person on his list. One policeman was able to figure out his scheme and had to bait him. He put a full clip in him. The last man on his list did survive. However, the press didn't tell us who it was. It's his dad. It was the dad. It had to have been Max and Chris's dad. Like the identity of the cop who could stop the madness. That's how his story ended. That club is still open today, but hardly anyone goes there anymore. They're afraid. Interesting town you guys have here. That's all I can say. Leon and Samantha also sat and listened intently for company, even though they should know the story by now. It is what it is, but don't worry, it's in the past. If it ever was. And he can't have anything to do with you. So it's a copycat at most. but it's just an urban legend. It's something everyone wants to forget as soon as possible, so as not to tarnish the town's memory. Yep, so eager to forget that they put the story in the mainstream newspapers. Well, that's just a journalistic thing. Now finish your food before it gets cold. I went back to eating, digesting what I had heard as well. It sounded like some cheap tourist story. Did it really happen? But in light of recent events, I wasn't surprised at anything. We straightened up our lunch and rose from the table. Gentlemen and ladies, thank you for lunch. I'm off to my fitness class. If you need anything, message me in the general chat room. Yeah, we had a good time. Thanks for sharing it with us. And thank you for this story. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow then. I don't know how this story helps, but come on. Thanks for the company, Max. See you tomorrow. We walked out of the building together, and the girls went home in different directions. I had a sudden thought. Why not go out with one of them? I didn't have any plans for the evening anyway, and this would be the perfect opportunity to unwind and take my mind off my dark thoughts. Samantha. It's gotta be Samantha this time. Samantha hadn't gone far, so I quickly caught up with her. Oh, Max, did you forget something? No, I just thought I'd walk you home. If you don't mind, of course. Walk me out? No, let's go, of course. So we're going to have a day of surprises today. I just have to warn you, I live pretty far out on the outskirts of town. It's okay, I'm in no hurry anyway. We walked in silence for a while. Do you like ice cream, Max? I do actually. Why? There is one park along the way. Sometimes I like to walk there or just sit on a bench. If you want, we could go over there, get some ice cream, since you said you were in no hurry. Sounds great. Show me the way. That's cool. We reached a large, elongated park covered in greenery, with the small stone paths and stores. We went to an ice cream stand and got a large scoop each. Then we walked around the park itself for a bit. Samantha showed me all the beautiful places, and then we found a secluded bench with a prescribed Then we walked around the park itself for a bit. Samantha showed me all the beautiful places, and then we found a secluded bench with a picturesque view. There were surprisingly few people. Birds were still chirping in the trees. It's nice here when it's warm, and now it's autumn, soon it'll be winter, but it's very cozy so far. I couldn't agree more. You come here often? Not really. It's been a long time since I was last here, but for some reason, memories came flooding back, and it would be good for you to see the city. You can sit here and enjoy the view while reading a book or listening to music. I used to do my homework here once. It really is a nice place. I had no idea we had such beautiful places in Sunlight City. You know this is where I lived when I was a kid, right? Yeah, you told me. The ice cream was delicious. It melted in my mouth. It was much faster with mine. By the time she ate the top, I had almost finished my waffle cone. So you think someone was deliberately trying to kill you? I'm almost certain of it. It's not a good feeling. Just thinking about the fact that if I hadn't gone behind the wheel, I'd be dead by now gives me the shivers. Yep. I hope the police can catch him. I don't think they'll even look. They'll just check the cameras. That's all. What are you gonna do? I'll try to find out who's behind this and get him to answer. Grant's the most obvious choice. Yeah, well, he pesters everyone, especially those who might be useful to him. Is he bothering you too? You're a good student. Most of the time I manage to avoid conflict. I have a superpower, stealth, which I actively use. It's a useful power, but it doesn't work for me. Samantha smiled and blushed slightly. Anyway, I've only met a handful of people, so I'll hope to myself that it was just a fluke. Samantha fell silent, finishing her cone. You think I'm getting paranoid? No, just a busy mouth. Do what you think is right. Doubt won't help. Yeah, you're right. When she was done with the ice cream, she had some chocolate left off the edge of her mouth. Samantha, you've got some chocolate. I pointed to a spot on myself, but she wiped on the wrong side. I reached up to her face then and ran my own finger over the corner of her mouth, brushing off the residue. I held my hand out for a few seconds, and Samantha opened her mouth and looked into my eyes, but didn't say anything. I pulled my hand away and licked off the rest of the chocolate. Don't let it go to waste. Thank you. Shall we walk some more? Yeah, we can go. When we were full, we walked through the park and came to the outskirts of town. Here, away from the others, stood a multi-story house. It was clearly different from the others in its height and architecture. We stopped on the approach. Is this where you live? Yes, thank you for walking me out. It was unexpected and a pleasure. No problem. See you tomorrow then? Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. She went home and I went to my room. She has to walk so far every day, but she's used to it, I guess. I replayed today in my head. The way Samantha worried about me. The way she licked the ice cream with gusto. Jesus. Yeah, she's definitely more relaxed with me now. I should spend more time with her. It was starting to get dark by the time I got home. Nate shivered from the cold as he walked briskly across the street. No. No, not Nate. It was still evening, but it was already dark as the night wore on. Only a couple of streetlights illuminated the whole street. The rest of them simply didn't work or flickered weakly. He turned down an alley to take a shortcut to the police station. Today was the last straw. He decided to file a report against his abusers. They should be able to help him. He saw no other way out of the situation. So quiet on the corner street at this time. What? So quiet on the street at this time, as if the whole city were asleep. But suddenly, amidst the silence, rhythmic footsteps were heard. They sounded in time with Nate's footsteps. He stopped. Footsteps stopped too. There was no one around, though it was hard to make out anything in the darkness. The alley was lit only by the faint neon lights and the moon. Nate fixed his glasses, looked around, and moved on. The footsteps resumed again, sounding like they were right behind him. His heart pounded harder. He stopped again and turned around sharply. No one. All right, let's get to the destination. Otherwise, his heart would jump out of his chest. He decided to run until he was in the light. He ran forward quickly. Just then, a figure emerged from behind a garbage can, into which he flew at full speed and fell to the ground, shattering his knees. My glasses flew off my nose, everything blurred before my eyes. Something white loomed ahead. Excuse me? My glasses fell off. I can't see anything. Can you help me? The blurred figure did not budge. The surface was cold and hard to the touch. But at last the trotting succeeded, and the fellow raised his dirty glasses. Pulling them over his eyes, he jerked back. In front of him stood a tall man in a black suit with a white, terrifying mask. Sorry, I didn't see you. Can I go now? They're waiting for me at home. The guy mumbled, only wanting to get as far away from the stranger as possible, but he didn't move. I'm just gonna go, okay? Nate pulled back. He lowered his gaze and took a closer look at the stranger. Something glinted in his hand, something sharp and long. The knife. Nate opened his mouth in horror and wanted to run away, but his legs felt like lead. Help! Somebody! Nate screamed as loud as he could, and then, out of his daze, he ran in the opposite direction. But the mysterious figure easily threw a knife that instantly caught up and plunged into the boy's back, cutting through clothing and flesh. Ah! The guy's scream turned into a wheeze, blood spurting from his mouth. The attacker pulled out the knife and kicked Nate in the back. He fell to the ground. In the evening, I was returning home after a short walk. In the evening, I was returning home after a short walk. The fresh air helped me to put my thoughts in order and calm down a little bit. I was somewhere not far from the house when I heard screaming from a neighboring alley. And it wasn't the drunken screams of some raging drunk. It was the screams of someone being murdered. Do I have to help everyone at all times? In light of recent events, it is almost contraindicated for me to get involved in such ventures. But curiosity got the best of me, and I jumped up and down. I found myself in narrow, neon-lit alleyways, where there was not a soul in sight. The screams died down as suddenly as they had come. It was hard to say what it was that attracted me to them, but I thought I'd heard that voice somewhere before. As I rounded the corner, I realized where that familiar voice was from. Nate! He was lying in a pool of blood on the ground. Mutilated, his face cut up, but there was no doubt it was him. His glasses were lying around his backpack. What? I, though being used to horror movies and horror games, experienced a real attack of terror. It was as if my breath had run out, and I began to gasp for air. Breathe, Max, breathe. I pinched myself. Yeah, this is really happening. My classmate, who we were still talking to today, is lying dead a couple blocks from my house in a dark alley. I involuntarily remembered the last time we parted ways. God, Nate, what on earth were you doing here at a time like this? We need to call the cops right away. Officer Elizabeth, she's got to help me. What if that psychopath is still here? With trembling fingers, I pulled out my phone and tried to unlock it. It's been dead all day. I've got to get out of here, and fast. As I ran out of the confined space, I was ducking every shadow, and there was plenty of them. Where are you, Sunlight, when I need you so badly? In a fit of adrenaline, I thought I'd look up the name and number of these alleys. And then I ran home without stopping. Surprised passerbys looked at me, but I didn't care about that now. Wouldn't you tell somebody? See if somebody has a phone? That sounds logical. I ran up the stairs and locked myself in the apartment. I felt better mentally. Tried to catch my breath, though my heart was still ready to jump out of my chest. But I forced myself to quickly undress, put the phone on charge, and spam the power button until the screen finally lit up. Okay. I dialed Elizabeth Reynolds' number and waited, pacing back and forth across the room. The woman answered much more quickly this time, apparently still in bed. Hello? Max? It's you again? He killed a man. Now you're gonna believe me. I saw it with my own eyes. He killed my classmate Nate. Turned him into a mincemeat. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's do it again, but slow down. Who killed who? That killer. He killed Chris, and now he's killed my classmate. So you were just passing through? How did you find out about it? Strangely enough, yes. You don't believe me again? Then go and see for yourself. You can go right now. I shouted out the address of that alley. Well, even though I'm skeptical of what you're saying, something clearly made an impression on you. I'm gonna go check this place out. Yeah, okay, just be careful. Don't worry, kid. I know my job. If there's anyone out there, they're gonna be in trouble. Okay, I believe you. You can call me back when you've checked it out. Sure, I'll be in touch. She hung up. I didn't feel much better. What if she gets killed out there? And that is where we're gonna end it today. So, that is episode 3. Episode 3 is in the wraps, and hopefully I shall see y'all for episode 4. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you like this kind of content, or check out my other videos and subscribe if you like those. And I shall see you in the next one.